welcome to my Coaching Life Realities channel. This channel focuses on relationships, communications, and everything else in between. If you are new here, welcome. And if you are not, please do take the time to subscribe, like this video, share it with your friends, and help me raise the volume to this channel. With all that being said, I wanted to talk about the twin flames theory. Now, it has been a couple of weeks since I last posted. As you can see, this is a different cat. This is Nicholas in honor of Miss Nikki, whose little urn is back there with her crown. It has been extremely difficult, to say the least, of having to deal with this loss. And when I went to pick up my diabetic medication, the doctor was like, perhaps this is something that you should talk about on your channel, grief and loss. I do want to talk about it, but I'm really not emotionally ready, because just thinking about it now, I'm already getting emotional. You can hear my voice cracking. And it's not something that I'm prepared to do right now without falling apart. Like I will fall apart, and I don't think that it is appropriate, to say the least, to try and get through 20 minutes of content trying to talk about dealing with grief and loss, and that there isn't a specific handbook, even though they do talk about steps. There are just some deaths that it's hard to say that you will get past it. It's something that I live with every day. Her loss is really painful.
More than a few. Let's do a couple at 25.
Hi, precious.
Just see if it wants to do what it did.
Miss Nikki. Hi, precious Nikki.
Come on, Miss Nikki.
Hi, precious. Look at how pretty she looks in natural. She looks so pretty with that crown. Miss Nikki. You look so pretty with that crown. Look at this precious Nikki. You want me to put the crown on you too, Una? So with all that being said, I want to talk about the twin flames theory. I did a video on it, and during that time, Miss Nikki was sick, and I really felt I was not concentrating on the content. I was more focused on her. So this video was basically a dud. Now, this time that I have my faculties in order, I wanted to talk about the twin flames theory, coupled in with tarot readings and relationships, and the hopes that a relationship will flourish even though you are not physically with that person. Now, I wanted to read something that I found online, and I'm going to be also very careful, because I know that there is a couple who is charging an exuberant amount of dollars for their classes, and it has posed an enormity of problems for people who are being stalked by others, believing that person is their twin flame, and they don't even know who that person is. I believe even a celebrity was going through something where they had to get a restraining order because this girl was going around saying, but you're my twin flame, and they're not. There is an importance and responsibility when you have a large following of what it is that you are sharing with your unseen audience. And that's why I also try to be very careful of the things that I share on this channel, because it really is a matter of promoting well-being for personal mental health. So if I'm promoting incorrect information and sharing that on this channel, or what you call misinformation, people can take that information and feel like it applies to them and it's something that they could do. I mean, let's just say I said something outrageous about twin flames. And then now that person is going to go around saying, yeah, we're supposed to be in a relationship. This reader said that we are twin flames. We are meant to be together. This is the reason why a lot of tarot readers say, take what resonates. Now, in my own personal journey, I spoke about dealing with a narcissist and having to remove him from my life because he was just a terrible, terrible person and still is. And thankfully, I don't hear from him or anything like that. He finally stopped contacting me some years ago. But in the time he did contacted me several times, it was basically to prey on my feelings, my vulnerability. And I just stopped responding because I just felt like if I responded, I was being kind. And instead, I was just inviting more and more of the insanity and the permission. So, in order not to invite the insanity, I had to close the door. I had to not open up that door, which is basically what I did. So in 2019, I met somebody that I was actually working for or working with. And in the couple of months that we were hanging out and working closely together, I became very attracted to him. And I started talking to other people about him. And what they heard when I was describing him and talking about my relationship with him at work, they were seeing it as that I had fallen in love. And I was like, well, there's no way. Like, I would know if I was in love. And this is the way they viewed it. Now, thinking back, in describing our relationship and how I spoke about him, yes, I realized that I had fallen in love, and it was something that I hadn't felt since 2008 when I had met somebody at work. Long and behold, I just fell deeply in love with him, and he was the same way. He felt the same way. Unfortunately, our relationship did not work out, and that was very, very painful. Like, I didn't know how I was going to move on from that relationship because I really felt he was the one. Now, at that time, that's what everybody would refer to their soulmate as the one. Apparently, this whole twin flame theory is where two people share the same soul. It wasn't maybe until 6 months I had found this particular tarot reader, and I would watch her and listen to her. She was very relatable, but there was also something else, something nagging me that didn't sit right. And the more that she shared about her personal relationships, I found that her readings were actually unhealthy. I'm sure that she's a nice person in real life, but a lot of people who do tarot readings, when I listen to the things that they're saying, especially when they're talking about love readings, it's always the same redundancy. They say the same things in every reading. And if you're really paying attention, how much more can somebody talk about a lover, a person that you're meant to be with, and they have all of these hidden messages for you, but they're not coming forward in saying those things? And I hung on to this concept for a long time. I even remember talking to a friend of mine, and I'm like, he's my twin flame. I just know it. We're feeling the same thing. I was so delusional about where we were in this relationship. The relationship was all in my head. It was not happening in real life. And when he would contact me, which be like what, once every 3 or 4 months that he just decided to text or say hi, that meant that he had feelings for me. He was feeling something in order for him to reach out. Because there were a lot of the times that I reached out and get no response. Now, the crazy part to this is not only am I older than he is, one would think, well, you're older than him, so you should know better. There are women who are my age, maybe even older, and still get trapped in this concept of thinking that somebody cares about them when they pay attention to them this much, this little, and they take that little bit and they make it bigger than what it is, than what reality is offering them. It wasn't until 2022 the door opened up and he admitted that he had an attraction for me. However, when I read that on a text, I took it as he liked me. He had feelings for me. There is a big difference between somebody who is attracted to you and somebody who has feelings for you. And when they have feelings for you, they are going to tell you that. They are not going to go around it or omit it for whatever reason that is. He was attracted to me and I was happy with that. And I was really trying to put myself in this mindset of he hasn't told you he loves you yet. You know how you feel about him. Just let everything play out and see where all of this goes. In the meantime, here I am digging up every tarot reader that I can find that will advocate in my head what I was thinking. And if that tarot reader matched what I was thinking, well, who could dispute the fact this was meant to be? And this is where reality and fantasy are two separate things. There's nothing wrong with fantasizing. There's nothing wrong with imagining things. But when it's not part of your reality, there is a problem. When both of you are not on the same page when it comes to your relationship or whatever you have called it in your head, if you guys aren't talking, there really isn't a relationship. There's another guy that I watch here on YouTube who talks about the avoidant personality. And I ended up running into him, I believe, in late 2022 when the relationship abruptly ended. Okay. It ended on a text, and the exact words were, "You can't handle me right now." I have no idea what that meant. There were always cryptic messages or cryptic songs that accompanied his messages. Instead of just saying whatever it was that was on his mind, everything was always tied into a song that he would send. And when he sent that message, I remembered replying about how he doesn't know me and he probably wouldn't be able to handle the real me. It was almost as if I didn't know what to say over that. I was very confused and perplexed. For a couple of months, I spent looking at my phone because I put his text on mute. I don't know if the Android has an option, but on iPhone, you have the option to mute messages so that you don't hear your phone chiming. But in the interest of not wanting to hear his messages, I always kept checking my phone to see if there were messages from him. And then one day I just stopped. And when the messages did start to come through again, well, I didn't know they were there because I had him on mute and I wouldn't reply for like weeks on end. I felt no need to rush and reply. What was I replying to? What was I reaching out to? I was disrespected the whole time being in that short lived relationship. In my head, in the twin flames theory, where I believed that this person was my twin flame and I should do everything possible in order for me to satisfy him and satisfy the relationship, for him to see my desire to make this relationship work, I was probably coming off as like some kind of a lunatic. Now, granted, I was not texting him like crazy and talking all of this twin flame theory thing to him. I was very, very reserved because I was waiting for him to basically make next moves and next steps to see where it was that we stood. And then after the relationship ended abruptly, I was thinking, well, maybe I should have done this and maybe I should have done that. And it was funny because I felt like I couldn't grieve or cry because there was nothing to cry about. Inside, deep down inside, I knew that there wasn't really anything of substance in that relationship. He had also changed into a person that I did not recognize. Now, I don't know if it had to do with his political stance. I don't know if it had to do with him getting sick a couple of times with COVID. I have no idea. I mean, I personal opinion, I think that people who get it multiple times, something happens that just changes them into something. I don't know. But this is just my with people who have gotten sick. Now, of course, that doesn't apply to everybody because everybody changes regardless whether they get sick or not, just for the political stance by itself. With him, I found that he was no longer the same person that I fell in love with. That person was long gone. And you have people that say, well, when people get into relationships, they want to change the other person. And that's not necessarily true. People that get involved with one another, they do change because they're together now. Maybe their outside friendships change because they're spending more time with that person and getting to know them. Perhaps those friendships can grow outside of them being in a relationship because the friend will understand, hey, my person found love here. He's with a great girl, guy, whatever. And I'm happy for them and I want them to flourish in that relationship with that person. So the friendship will not falter. What I started to find in watching this particular creator talk about the avoidant attachment, I think it's called avoidant and anxious attachment of the person who is afraid of letting go. I used to be that way years ago. And I'm talking about like in the 90s. I have found when I get the impression that somebody is genuinely not interested in being with me, I leave it alone. And I believe in this particular relationship, I learned a lot about myself in getting trapped into this twin flame theory concept that isn't real. Because what happens with people is what I've noticed. They're either going to be trapped in something that's not working, and they make this commitment like I talked about in my last video, the escalation of commitment. They feel like they have to keep at it by any means necessary, which is not healthy. It's kind of like the saying beating a dead horse. It's not going to come back to life because you keep at it. It is what it is. It's not going to change unless that person wants to change. Now, this goes back to what I just said before about people getting in relationships and then they tag on this theory of, oh, well, now that I'm in a relationship with you, you want me to change. I don't know what was going on in the relationship where now that other person wants them to change. Maybe a traumatic event happened that took the person back into something that maybe their partner does not recognize them in that moment. And what happens is when people put that out there on social media, then you have men, yeah, I don't understand why I have to change. Why can't they change? This is the perception that the person is putting out there. Oh, my woman is making me change. That's not healthy to do that at all. Nobody forces you to do anything that you don't want to do. And if you feel that you are in a relationship where a person is making you change into something that you're not, ask yourself why you are in that relationship unless you enjoy the mental torture. It's that simple. And everybody wants to insert their opinion about men versus women. And this is not about men versus women or women versus men, however you want to look at it. It's the idea of respect in a relationship and not putting labels on it like this twin flames theory. I have discovered, again, my own personal journey and discovery, that the twin flames theory isn't real. Soulmate, maybe. I mean, the person that I was with in 2008, I felt he was a soulmate. I felt like when we kissed and I closed my eyes, he sucked up my whole soul. That's how good his kisses were. I'll never forget that. Dare I say, if he came knocking on this door, I might take him back. But as far as the person that I met and fell in love with in 2019, that person is long gone. He is a different person. And who am I to tell him, I want you to be that fun loving person that I met in 2019, where you didn't take things so seriously, where you were a fun person? That's not my journey. That's his journey. That's his own self discovery that he needs to make for himself. And I've said this time and time again in other videos. People have a tendency of feeling as though they need to step in and intervene in other people's journey. No, let them, especially in this political thing, let them. Don't stand in their way. If that's what they feel strongly on, then let them. Let them learn. There were many of things that I did in my life that were big mistakes, and people let me. And you know what? I discovered the hard way. If you're going to listen to tarot readers, listen very lightly. When I do tarot readings, and I even say on my website, the oracle readings are not to be taken as this is it, this is the answer, this is what's going to happen, it's predicting a future. No, it is just giving you a guide on how to navigate your life, your choices for your future. Now, is an avoidant detachment real? Yes, it is. And when the veil was lifted from my eyes and I realized this isn't about a twin flame. This isn't about listening to a tarot reader who's crying about her own relationship and having people in her chat room talking about how they've been chasing their twin flame for the last 10 years and they moved on with somebody else, but they know deep down inside that person is meant to be with them. You are not helping the cause for that person to move on. They've been holding on for somebody for 10 years and that person is not even looking at them anymore. They've already probably done moved on with their life, children and everything, got married. And this person is here in a chat room talking about, I've been dealing with mine for 10 years. No, you've been dealing with it for 10 years because you have not moved on. Now, there's a big difference between an avoidant and a person who is stuck on the ideology this person is their twin flame. An avoidant is what I was dealing with. I was not dealing with the concept of this is a twin flame and he's just stuck somewhere and he's going to figure it out. He may have figured it out now that I'm ignoring him. But the reason why I am not answering him anymore, because I am not in love anymore. It's done and over with. Once I understood the avoidant and the behaviors of an avoidant person, I thought to myself, why would I want to be with a person who has trouble communicating their feelings? Now, again, my channel is about learning how to communicate. However, I am not this person's life coach. I wanted to be in a relationship with them. So, in order for that relationship to work, both of us have to put in the work. It cannot just happen with one person working on the relationship while the other person comes in and out like the relationship is a revolving door. Who wants that? Nobody. I don't. Ideally, a relationship is about two people consistently working together. And I've used this concept in a live on TikTok. There's a guy named Kansu. He does a live periodically. I had mentioned in the panel, life is like a down escalator and you consistently walking up that escalator, which I've heard in 12-step meetings. You're walking the down escalator. You're constantly walking. You're going through any trials, tribulations, happiness, whatever it is on that journey. But the minute you stop walking, the escalator takes you down with them. And this is what life is all about. There's going to be ups and downs in lives. There's going to be relationships that are not going to work out. There is no need to spend thousands of dollars per month trying to get somebody that you are probably not meant to be with. Because if you were meant to be with that person, you wouldn't have to spend money because they would be right there with you.